Alright, so I have the mixture going on the stove. I'm going to try to keep an eye on that. Now this calls for 2.5 to 3 cups of flour. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in at least the 2.5. Because you know, if you've made bread at all, that some days you don't need hardly any extra. Some days you seem like you need all of it. So as soon as this gets done off the stove, then we can go ahead and start mixing this. You'll see from the KitchenAid here, and we'll get this going. Okay, as you can see, the temperature of the milk and the butter is between 105 and 110 also. And what you're wanting to do is to make sure that that's not over the temperature too, because that can also kill the yeast. I mean, that's one thing I did learn about bread making. Not that I'm an expert by any means. I've made a few loaves of bread, but I'm definitely not that bread maker. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my yeast. As you can see, my yeast rise, so my yeast is okay too. Get that all scooped and put in there. Make a big mess on my kitchen like always. And then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and rise this up. Now she said to always put this like on 2, that's about the perfect, bring that up just a little bit. That's the perfect for the kneading of the dough. Turn off that fan now. That was helping me cool down the pan a little bit here. I know you really can't see in there, but that's mixing up pretty nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let this go ahead and mix up. You don't need to be here for the whole thing. I'll show you when it's done. I'll be right back. Alright, so I just felt that it's just a little bit tacky. I'm just going to throw in just a smidge more of flour. So on this particular batch, on this particular day, it is only about 2.5 cups. So I'm going to go ahead and let that go for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to be letting the kneading time go. And it's going to mix up the rest meanwhile and everything, and I will be right back. Alright, so that's mixed there for a while. Now as you can tell, which you can't probably tell from there, it is completely off the sides. Let me pull this out here. That's one thing I don't like about the non-lift up ones, is you just don't, it's harder to get off there. But as you can see, the dough looks really great, okay? And it seems really nice. I have clean hands. You know how many times today I've already washed my hands, it's not even funny. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of roll this under a little bit like this. Now I have my spray out, and for sake of doing more dishes, I'm just going to go ahead and grease or oil my pan that I made it in. Go ahead and put this in here, kind of like roll the dough around in here so it's not going to stick at all. Then what I have is I have my towel. It is very warm here in Michigan today. Put the towel over this. This shouldn't take very long whatsoever. I'll bring this back. This should double in size. Then I'll go ahead and get this put in the Pullum pan, and we'll get our bread going. Alright, so the dough has rised, and what I'm going to do is push that down. We're going to go ahead and get that ready for the second rise. We're just going to spread this out a little bit, kind of like in a square, because we're going to kind of just like roll this up and put that actually in here. Kind of make sure the air bubbles are out of there, so go ahead and roll that up. And then you just kind of like pinch the bottom here, and that's what will go at the bottom. And then you just kind of like tuck in your the sides. Alright. I have that line obviously. Now you see that it's going to fit really nicely actually in that Pullum pan. I did spray the top too. I'm going to go ahead and put that on, just set that aside, and we'll come back once this is ready and put that actually in the June. Alright, so this has come up. I think it's not going to come up any further. It might well baking, I'm not really for sure. I have the June over there programmed at the 400 degrees, and I'll be putting this in here once it gets another 50 degrees, and we'll be cooking this for approximately 30 to 40 minutes. So I will be putting this in the June for that time. I'll bring you back once it's out. We'll put it on the cooling rack, and then we're going to go ahead and get that cut up. Alright, so this was in there for, I believe, 35 minutes. And you look at that, and that looks very, very nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave this like this for like 10 minutes. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and put it on a cooling rack so it doesn't stay all like steamed. Alright, so it's been 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this out. Now one thing I noticed, and I don't know for sure if it's just this particular one, but there's little holes down here, and the nonstick spray went all over my June. So, I mean, the bread looks nice. We'll find out once we cut into it. But I'm going to go ahead and throw a little bit of butter on the top, because we like to have that butter for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, it's been quite a while since I've made a loaf of bread. I mean, it's been a very, very, very long time. So that's why I was kind of super concerned with making the loaf today. But I'm going to go ahead and let that finish cooling off. And then I'm going to show you that I actually have a collab that's actually going to be on the a slicer for the bread. So I'll bring it back when that happens. And this is the chopper that I will be doing the collab on. So I'm going to stop this video now, and then you're going to pick up another video. Just it's actually going to go ahead and show this being used.